this woman is a shining star for all human beings in the world, for everyone that crosses her path. And with all of the trauma that she's experienced in her life, I am absolutely blown away by the amount of joy that she accesses on a daily basis. So, sister, tell us, what's the magic pill? You know, what it is, what are you taking on a daily basis that has you accessing this joy without fail every single day?
Oh, well, I think it's life. I always believe that as long as you're breathing, you should be grateful. If you're alive, you should be grateful. There are people who life has just taken like that in a few moments, and that's part of my story. The way the moment I was kidnapped, taken in the hands of my father, that my dad that I grew up with, that had protected me and loved me, and not ever in his wildest dream and mind also that would ever happen. And in that glimpse, I was taken in his hands.
How old were you, Aminata?
I was 18 years old. And what I had to go through, and for a father also who has protected his children, also knew that they've kidnapped a daughter, but not knowing that if the daughter is dead or not, or but knowing also what has been done to his daughter. So that really breaks my father. But I think for me, where I really I really search for joy every single day is the fact that when I was kidnapped,
and this was during the Civil War,
during the Civil War in Sierra Leone in 1999.
In 1999, you were getting kidnapped, and in 1999, I was in South Africa in my final year of school. Yeah. Two very, very different realities.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's what happens even with my book. When people read my book, Australians, they always put themselves in that position that, oh, somebody will say, I was having a baby that time, I was traveling overseas. But the fact that people can actually do that, it brings empathy in the picture, which is mostly what refugee stories are not told in that form. So I wanted my story to have that human form of how I was brought up by an incredible father, the life that I had, and the fact that I never was interested in coming in the Western world. I had everything that with me, and then what happened, and then now living in Australia and living this experience. But I think for me, what makes me wake up every morning, I don't think about it every day. I think now it's part of my body or my being, is that I fought. Sometimes when I think about how I fought to survive every single minute, second, during those intense time during the war, the technique that I came up with to just live for that moment, some of the bullets that hit somebody else and died, and I was just standing there. For the fact that I fought that hard, always when people ask me that question, I'm like, what was the point for? It was for me to come back and be miserable. I would have just not done that. I would have just died, because there was a lot of opportunity for that to happen. I will feel like I cheated life if I do not strive for joy. And I know every single day life is not perfect, so I'm not in this bubble at all. You know, I have 2 kids that drive me crazy 1 second and I love them after. I have a husband that I drive crazy and he drives me. You know, life is just a beautiful mess, you know. So I'm not telling the story as if, oh, I'm living in this bubble, everything is all fine. No, there's a hole in it everywhere. But I know that's what is expected of life. We will never promise all glory, you know. But the beauty about life is just taking it and making it your own. And also being responsible for the people around you. So for me, the people around me and the people that are allowed in my life, it's very, very important that I knew from the beginning that I have a choice to choose who I allowed, but also when they are in my life, what I give to them and what they give to me. So it's just, I think for me, the point came is when I recognized that I have a choice. It doesn't matter poverty or not. And this is why a lot of time when people go to a lot of poor countries, they go like, but they're so happy. They make a choice, because even if you don't have food to eat, what are you going to do? Lie in the streets and die? No. You're going to go and play until something shows up and then you're fed. And this is how people live in countries like that. So for me, that's how I live my life. And that's how I think I find joyous, and I don't find happiness because I don't happiness is good, but it doesn't last. Joy is something that you feel like it's like a root, you know? You have the tree, but you have the root there that keeps the tree going. So that, for me, that's how I look at joy. So yeah.